Hey guys, today I wanted to update you on another bag that I've been updating. So last time we went through the remnants of updating the big med bag that I have, and then before that we were looking at the bolt bag updates and things like that. And I've been taking this time during the virus while I'm growing out my hockey hair to go through all of my bags that I kind of have ready to go and just updating them. And this one in particular is the one from my wife's car, Kelly, and she sometimes looks at it like there's not much has been done with it over the last few years. And I've been guilty of not getting in and updating it too, but wanted to kind of show you what Texas heat does to things, as well as like talking about some stuff that I'm going to update and why. But I've also got the K9 pack that I have for Doberman kind of laid out here too, and I'm also going through that, so might get to that today, it might be next week, but either way, I wanted to talk through just a couple of things and the principles surrounding like a vehicle kit. So we just did a podcast not too long ago where we talked through some vehicle stuff and things that you needed to keep on hand. And a lot of this stuff is the stuff we talked about not really needing anymore. So it kind of came down to distilling it into what you really need and what you're really going to do with the stuff that you keep in your vehicle. So asking yourself that question, and the hard question of like, do I really need this, and am I really going to use this for its intended purpose, is probably the first place you should start with any assembly of a bag or contents that you're going to carry with you. Because the last thing you want to do is carry a bunch of stuff that you're never going to use and winds up turning into stuff that just deteriorates in the heat, like this stuff. Pretty crazy. That was a roll of battle system tape in the Texas heat. Nuts. Duct tape leaked everywhere, meaning that it got hot and got sticky, and yeah. And this was a 3-pack of toilet paper, and obviously this was definitely necessary to break into and use a little bit of, so got to replenish that. But I have just the start of some things laid out here that I want to talk through, and really kind of as a whole, I'd prepared this in kind of a survival mindset, I guess. You know, like if I was stranded with a vehicle and if it happened to be in my wife's car, what would I need to get out of that? So there's a few things that could probably go away from this, like tow straps. Yes, I get it. It's understandable that if you wind up in a ditch somewhere or go off road, or off the road unintentionally, you might need something like this to tow you back. And while my vehicle had a bunch of recovery stuff in it, I just put these in there as like to have something, and not necessarily having a whole recovery kit. Whereas, if something like that happened, more than likely no one would be around or want to stop anyway, so you'd probably be calling a tow truck. So maybe these aren't really necessary, I'm not sure. Just wanted to kind of put some thoughts in your head as far as that kind of stuff goes too. But roadside flares are always very cool to have. And they're quite handy too. Not only could you light a fire, but that's kind of the mindset that I had been thinking of, whereas I'm not really probably going to be lighting a fire next to my vehicle if I'm stranded. It's just probably not something I'm going to do. Carrying blankets and stuff is a better way to go if I need to stay warm, if a car breaks down in the winter or something like that too. But these are nice because you can actually pull out these legs and set them down on the ground. Once you get these fully extended, I don't want to bend them too much, but when you light the flares, at least it gives you something to prop up to warn other vehicles that you're having problems with your car, in addition to putting on your hazards and things like that too. But along those lines, you want something that's going to be really visible too. So this is a construction vest that I vacuum sealed a long time ago that has some tape nastiness on it now. But that's kind of what you would really need to think about, and that's more likely the scenario, right? You got to change a tire on the side of the road, your vehicle gets stranded and you got to go get gas or something like that. So that's kind of the walk that you might have to undertake. But EDC should kind of prepare you for some things like that that you might encounter. But what's not EDC is kind of what this should represent too, and what you might need in that situation. So toilet paper and a poop shovel. This hasn't been used, by the way. Yeah, I would definitely keep that in there. Some trash bags are probably a good thing to hang on to as well. Survival blankets, yes or no, but let me just finish going through this and then we can kind of talk about it later. At least I can get through all the stuff that we did have in there. So bug spray, suntan lotion, sunscreen, I should say, small little camp axe, little cold steel SRK knife. This is one of my favorite fixed blade knives if space is not an issue. I should say that. It's what we were issued at Bud's, and it's a great knife. I can sharpen it really well, and that's why I like it. I had much practice sharpening that and keeping it sharp. Can of or bottle of Wilderness Wash, basically some soap. That's probably important to have too. And you know, I've also got like a boo-boo kit, like our boo-boo kit, or a first aid kit along with that too. And some of the more hygienic items are in there as well, along with meds and things like that. But some things that I also had was, I had this little S-bit stove with little fuel tabs. They smell really bad too, by the way. This is what a rigger's rubber band looks like after years in the vehicle. Nice and nasty. Pair of gloves if you have to change a tire. Water bags if you had to go get emergency water. Little GI shovel that I had in there, a little collapsible shovel if you had to dig out, you know, if you get stuck somewhere. This is a poncho. Kelly had some rain gear. And then we had taken the warm weather clothing out of there and never put it back, so there's just kind of this leftover thermal bag. I don't know what that was for, but it was in there. Some paracord, and at one point I had put these on all the seat belts in the vehicle. These are those little CRKT exit tools, and it's nice because it always has a glass breaker and a seatbelt cutter close to you. However, they're kind of more trouble than worth, in my opinion. When your passengers go to put on a seatbelt, it's always in the way, and sometimes that little glass breaker digs into you if you're leaning the wrong way in the seatbelt. So anyway, and then the 2013 Road Atlas that needs to be updated. Because I'm a big fan of always having an actual physical map with you in the vehicle and not always having to depend on GPS. And don't get me wrong, I use it every day when I'm going to and from places, but I just like the security of having a Road Atlas if I ever needed it and I had to go somewhere and power was out or couldn't get a signal or something like that. So that's kind of the basics. I think I had already taken some stuff out of here. There's 2 cans of Fix It Flat. I don't even know how good these are anymore, and that's always been my thing with Fix It Flat. You never know if it's going to be good when you go to use it, because I have tried to use one of these one time. I was looking for a date, but there's no date that says use by or stored a specific. Do not expose temperatures above 120. It's Texas heat, maybe over 120 in the summer. Either way, those are kind of that's the gist of what I had in this kit. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to remove and keep. I know that the road flares will stay, the trash bags will stay, any kind of safety conscious kit, gloves would stay. And I know these are not going to fit Kelly, so I would probably look into getting something that will probably fit her. I know these will fit me, but you know, if I'm not with her, then I did teach her how to change tires, so she does know. I don't know if I taught her, but I believe I did. Just making that clear. Anyway, axe, I would probably, I don't know. You know, part of me wants to just keep everything and just throw it back in the bag and supplement it with some stuff that I want to get that I know I need. However, I know that that's a waste of space and not really necessary. So I would probably ditch the toe straps. You know, it's one of those things where you have to live with the decision whether, you know, hey, I might need that, but is that really the reason you're keeping it around because you might need it, or is there really a practical reason that, you know, that you encountered a situation already where you did need it and didn't have it, you know, that type of thing. So I do think rain gear is important to have. You know, really anything and everything involving the pulling over to the side of the road and having to do something to your vehicle in the wrong part of town or the wrong or a bad street or a busy street or a highway and the side of the road, like the things you really don't want to have to do is what you should really be prepared for. So do you have some water to drink while you're waiting? You know, that's where this comes in. I'm probably not going to have to like get my little S-bit stove out and get this canteen cup and boil some water on the side of the road. Probably not going to have to do that. But I do notice that there's not any kind of food too, so like that's important to have because you never know. I mean, I know you can go 3 days without food and I don't know. Well, no, 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, and 3 minutes without oxygen. Yeah, 3 without oxygen, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food, and 3 hours without shelter. Yeah, rule of threes. There's a bunch of threes in there, but that's kind of the deal. So shelter could be your vehicle, so you don't really need to necessarily have your own shelter readily available, but these are just some things to think through. I hope just kind of even going through this stuff will kind of get the gears turning in your head, and that's kind of the point of this too. But as I figure out what I'm going to update things, I'll report back on another video too, and we'll probably talk about the canine kit next time. Basically, I've just got a bag, and I'll at least show you that on this video. But I've got a bag that can fit on my dog, basically, that she can carry some stuff with her as well if I'm going to be a pack mule. But this is really kind of the thing that I would just grab and put into a vehicle that we were leaving with if we had to do that. So there's really a specific use case for this bag, and it's just kind of there to be there. So bags are great because you can look at all the stuff that's spread out all over the table and think, yeah, the bag industry is good because you got to have something stored in, right?
Why do you have 2 shovels?
Well, I have 2 shovels because, you know, you don't want to poop on the same shovel that you have to dig yourself out with if you're in a vehicle and get stranded. Nobody wants to do that.